Well, everyone, the iPhone 7 has been out for a little bit of time now, and this one is not going to be getting the next version of iOS, so I can drop a mid-year review of this thing and see how this thing is holding up in the middle of 2023. Now, funny enough, this phone has gotten way more updates than I thought it was going to be getting, so we're going to be hitting on those. That's probably going to be the biggest takeaway to take from this video, that this phone is still kind of getting software updates, which is insane in my opinion. Now, starting off with the outside, as always, not much has changed. It's still the same old 4.7-inch IPS panel on the front. You're getting pretty thick bezels around this thing, which is expected as of this point. You're getting Touch ID 2 on the front, home button, same old design, you know? It looks pretty much the same thing as the SE3, so it's not that old, but it's still not the best looking phone anymore, and I think a lot of people probably know this by now. You're still getting the lightning port at the bottom, no headphone jack, we all know this. And on the back, we're getting that aluminum back. I still think the back on this thing looks great. I think it really doesn't look old or outdated. It definitely looks dated, or it doesn't look old. It looks a little bit like an older iPhone, but I've always liked the design on these types of phones, to be honest. I still think they look great, and if Apple ever made a phone like this again at a cheaper price tag, I think I would definitely consider buying it, maybe not using it as a main device, but definitely recommending it to people. There's no wireless charging on this phone, but there is IP certification, which is nice, and I would say overall, definitely still looks like an older iPhone, but doesn't look ugly. I think there's a little bit of a charm with this type of device. In terms of the camera, it's pretty much the same thing as I mentioned before in my early 2022 or 2023 review. It's a 12 megapixel camera on the back. Now you can do 4K video on the back, you can do 1080p video on the front. There's not really a whole lot of other things going on with this type of device. So I think that's probably a big thing to keep in mind. It's a very, very basic camera, very standard, not really a whole lot of crazy things going on with it, but it's an okay lens. If you're just filming quick videos or whatever, then this thing will be okay. But keep in mind, if you're trying to go up a notch, this thing is probably not going to be able to handle majority of things that you throw at it. So definitely keep that in mind in the back of your head. Now on top of that, iOS wise, this thing is doing very, very interesting. So this thing started off with iOS 10. It ended off with iOS 15, but it's been getting iOS 15 updates for the last couple of years now. Since 2021, it's been getting iOS updates, which is insane. I would not believe how often this thing is getting updates. It almost seems like every time there's an iOS 16 update, right behind it, there's an iOS 15 update for the iPhone 7. And that is something that's surprising. Now, these updates are not bringing any cool features. They're not doing anything insane. They're very, very basic type of, bug fixes and improvements and different things like that. But it is still very insane to me that Apple is kind of supporting these types of phones at all. They don't have to do it, but they are. And that is what's so beautiful about it. So that is very cool. That's probably the biggest change that I've seen so far. So that kind of stuff is insane. On top of that, you are also getting, still a decent performing phone. It's definitely not the best performing phone anymore. But with that Apple A10 Fusion chip inside, with 2 gigabytes of RAM, if you really, really need to use this phone, you could probably, and there's probably people watching this who use this phone every day, but the reason why I'm a little hesitant as to recommending this type of phone in this day and age is, one, it is a little bit dated with software still. Apple made a statement last year where they stated even if they're supporting iOS on an older phone, it may not be the most secure version if it's not on the latest version of iOS that is supported in terms of numbers. So iOS 16.7 is going to be more secure than iOS 15.7, even if they get updated at the same time. Apple prioritizes the main version, and if there's a big problem with the older version, they'll fix it. But in this case, with the iPhone 7, I don't think this would be a phone I would recommend people to buy. It is a little bit dated. It does have some issues here and there, and I would say for the most part, get an iPhone 8 at the very, very minimum. The iPhone 10 would be better, but at the bare minimum, you can't, you have to get the cheapest phone that I would recommend, the iPhone 8 as of now. Now that can change very soon if Apple unsupports the iPhone 8, then of course get the next one up, which would probably be the iPhone 10R at that point. So those are the things that I recommend doing for the most part. I think the iPhone 7 is still a decent phone, but I wouldn't recommend buying this phone anymore if I'm being honest. So that pretty much covers it up. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.